So, there's a bit of a backstory here, a bit of a saga. This is Rosie the rosebush that was given to some dear friends of ours upon the birth of their dear child, Rosie. How many years ago was that?
21.
21 years ago, and for the last 21 years, basically, they've neglected it. Their very own daughter's rose. Well, you can see, I mean, there's the evidence. We've got some dead stems, we've got some black spot, creepy crawly buggy things, was it you were describing?
Black spots, were they?
Black spots on the leaves, yes, it's a little clue. So, this is the autumn. We're in early November here, so in the UK, the temperatures are dropping, the plant is shutting down for the winter. We don't know what this is, apart from the fact that it's rose, but I think it's perhaps a climbing rose, judging by the way that that branch, there's a typical kind of arching shape of that branch. It wants to spread out across that fence, if only it was given the care that it deserves. So in the autumn, what you're doing really is a tidy up trim to stop the wind rocking this plant around in the winter storms that we get. So this time of year, what have we got here? We've got about, I don't know, 2 meters of growth, so we can cut off 25% of that, no problem. And I'll just say to my professional cameraman, if you want to come in a little bit closer, we'll just show that when we cut back, we're going to cut back in front of a shoot. So just there, okay. And these dead bits here, these dry, dead looking, abused branches here, neglected branches, they can come out because they're not going to do anything anyway. Of course they're dead. The thing to remember is that in theory, you could cut this right back down to the ground this time of the year and it would probably shoot. But every time you prune a plant, the plant's natural response is to put on lots of new growth. We're going into winter, we don't want lots of new growth now. So we're just doing a tidy up here, getting rid of these straggly, neglected branches here. And to stop it rocking around quite so much in the wind. And then, because I'm not going to be able to sleep in the spring thinking about Claire coming and doing a spring prune, we'll revisit this. Please take note, by the way, there are good ways to tie up a climbing rose, and then there's this way to tie up a climbing rose. I'll leave you to make your own judgments about that, but I think perhaps we'll have a revisit of that in the spring and see if we can find an even more attractive way of supporting this rose. But we'll certainly come back and give this a much harder trim in the spring, because that's the time when the plant naturally puts on all its new growth. I would feel confident then to give it a good old hard prune back, and if it wants to shoot away with lots of fresh new growth there and thrive like you would expect, you know, a plant that's been given as a special gift, we'll see hopefully next summer some lovely new growth, and might even have some flowers. Having said that, I mean, what a display. I mean, good grief. That should be on Gardener's World or something, shouldn't it?
21 years and still flowering.
Yes.
Yeah. 21 years and flowering. Can't have been badly treated, can it?
By the way, I have to say that that wasn't the very first, but the first, second and third, I think, videos that I did. So if you go into my channel and scroll back about 9 years, you will find young James, who's on the other end of that camera now, as a little lad. Wasn't he a nice little lad? What went wrong, eh? Potting up some bulbs in one of our first videos. Do you remember that, James?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, is it still here?
Well, we've replaced it now with the tulips.
Oh, okay.
Was it tulips?
You mean lilies? Very, very similar. Yeah.
But we've put the bulbs in an ever bigger one.
Okay.
Nice big grey one over there, so we're hoping to see lots of daffodils in March.
Well,
because we did it very lovingly and gently, as you mentioned,
good.
being wary of the roots.
You're after my job here. But what we're saying is that those daffodil bulbs that James planted 9-10 years ago, whatever it was, have actually thrived and done okay. There we are.
We're obviously very, very good gardeners, really. I
It
think
runs in the family. Yeah.
I'm watching what you're doing there, Rog, and thinking that couldn't have really gone far wrong with the hacking the bush back.
No, it was just the way you spoke about it really had me worried. So, there we go. So that's step one in the autumn. We're going to leave that. It's going to drop its leaves. It's going to have a good old kip through the winter. And then, believe me, mate, we're going to come back and you won't know a spring and summer like you're going to get next year. You've never had one like it. We're going to give you some fertilizer. We're going to give you a good old prune. We might even give you a spray to get a shot of this black spot. Next summer will be glorious.